Hi, welcome to the Libra Lures channel. Today, I'll show you 4 sizes of the EMBRION SHAD model. Specifically, 10 centimeters, 12.5 centimeters, 15 centimeters, and 20.5 centimeters, which correspond to 8 grams, 15 grams, 23.5 grams, and 60 grams, respectively. The lure is characterized by a thick body, a thin tail ending in a large paddle, which effectively attracts predators. And on top of that, a carefully refined aesthetic of the lure, meaning the transverse ribbing on the sides of the lure, a scale pattern on the back, distinct gill covers, and ventral fins. And on the underside of the body on both sides, you'll find the brand name Libra Lures inscribed. They are available in 12 great colors, so you can choose a lure for any fishing conditions and season. They come packaged in these plastic blister packs depending on the size, with 6, 4, 2, or 1 piece per pack, with a detailed description of the weight and length of the lure. And just like in the previous video, the one about Kraken shads, here I also divide these lures into 2 groups of my own. The Zander perch group, where we have 12.5 and 10 centimeter lures, and then the pike catfish group, though of course this isn't a strict rule, as I mentioned last time, because I try to match the lure to whatever the predators are currently feeding on. Sometimes I have to hunt for pike using a really small lure, so in that case, for example, I put on a 10 centimeters one, or I go after Zander with something really big because they're feeding on bream or white bream, so we use those kinds of lures. The smallest lures, I usually rig them with a classic jig head. Sometimes I add a small stinger to the rig when the fish are biting very tentatively. If I get a gentle nibble on the tail and I can't hook them, then, if the fishing spot allows, I add that stinger to the rig. But these lures, these sizes, work really well for me when fishing with a drop shot rig. So if there are any drop shot enthusiasts here, don't be afraid to try these soft baits because they really work great. Because of that thin tail with a big paddle, even light twitches, gentle, working the rod tip gives them really nice movements in the water, which tempts even the laziest predators. And moving on, the 15 centimeter soft bait, which I also usually rig with a jig head. Here I practically always use a stinger hook. Unless the fishing spot doesn't allow it, meaning there are some plants, snags, or leaves on the bottom, then unfortunately I have to give them up. But if the fish are active, then it's no problem at all. They swallow the whole soft bait and there's no issue. That's when hooking the fish is easy. And I also sometimes rig our 20 centimeter soft bait with a jig head and a stinger hook. In that case, I pretty much always use the stinger, even on those overgrown fishing spots. I just try to retrieve the lure high enough. But just as often, and actually a bit more frequently lately, I use another method, which is attaching a screw-in rig with 2 treble hooks. I'll show you in a moment how I rig this kind of lure. So we take our screw-in rig and screw it in from the front of the lure. Remember to do this as precisely as possible so you don't end up bending the lure, because a properly rigged lure, it sways nicely from side to side, giving off a flashing effect, which is definitely an extra advantage when fishing for predators. Once we've screwed in our screw-in insert, now we simply attach the treble hook. I actually have these little sticks that help me stabilize the treble hook to the body of the lure, but if you don't have these screw-in inserts, it's enough to just stick one of the points of the treble hook into the lure, and that way it also stays in place for us. And with a lure rigged like this, I fish without any problems, pike and catfish. But don't worry about the fact that I don't have any extra weight here, because you can just as well fish with screw-in inserts that have weights. But I personally, I use these because the lure works great without any extra weight, especially in shallow fishing spots where I don't need to go very deep. But if I do need to fish deeper, then I use these small sinkers, which I simply attach to the little ring at the front. Then this way, I have a weighted lure and I can fish at any depth I want. So in this way, we have 2 types of rigging, probably the most popular ones, the classic jig head and the screw-in with treble hooks. In fact, if you don't have screw-ins, which by the way, you can easily make yourself from swivels or split rings, a single jig head with an optional stinger will work just fine. It will handle any of these sizes. We just need to increase the hook size. But there's no need to worry about hooking the fish, because a lure rigged like this will hook the vast majority of strikes. And thanks to their design, these lures are very versatile, especially since we have 4 different sizes, so we can actually target almost all larger predators. I've successfully caught catfish with them. The smaller sizes work very well for Zander, so I recommend giving them a try. Well, today I'm taking the slightly larger sizes and heading out to hunt for some pike. That must have been a good fish. Look closely, it definitely left some noticeable teeth marks. It's quite hard for you to clearly see them because there is absolutely no light at all, but it certainly left us with some very distinct teeth marks. Unfortunately, we're trying. Maybe it'll bite. That could have been a good fish because look, it cut us here and here by the head. All in one strike, so you know, the mouth must have been pretty big. There's also a deep cut here, so maybe it was a nice fish, but we'll give it another try. It didn't strike again, so I'm putting on this greenish color and we're trying again. Alright, we're on the right line. Somewhere over there, the pike was biting after a few twitches. If it's interested, it should take the bait. Got it. But I don't know if it's the same fish, but it's on. It's finally hooked. It's even pulling pretty hard. So let's see what we've got here. It's not a monster, but it's something. Take a good long look at exactly how it truly looks. Take a careful, detailed look at precisely how it appears. I specifically picked a challenging spot where it's quite difficult to successfully land the fish. Luckily it's not too big, so I should manage here. No problem. But it really slammed the lure, swallowed it up. A fish over 60 centimeters. Alright, let's try to unhook it. Maybe I can manage without pliers, but of course, just my luck. I've got both a stinger and a soft bait, so this is the worst case scenario. At least you'll get to see how you lose your fingers, or oh, there's one more hook point, damn. Alright, I managed to unhook the fish. I'll show him to you one more time, like this, and off he goes. It's on, what an action. And I saw that earlier, it was attacking here. I was actually about to leave, but I stopped to cast, and that turned out to be a good decision. And I think it got snagged. Yeah, it got snagged, but is the fish even still on? Damn, can you believe it got snagged? Oh, but it got out. It got out of the snag. Let's see. Now I still don't know what kind of fish it is. I'll loosen it a bit. Oh, okay. It's a good fish, really. But it's an ugly one. I mean, it's a real fighter. I like pike like this, but it's really a warrior. Good 80. And the black one got tangled up in my braided line, I'll tell you. But oh well, we'll untangle it in a moment. Look at that. But it's got some muscle. He opens the bail arm with one hand. That's tough to do, I'll tell you. Damn, I really got myself tangled up. Alright, the rod. I'll set it aside for now. It's in situations like this that you lose them. Good fish. What am I even unhooking here? But this is a real beast. Now I can really see it. Look how thick this fish is. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, this is what fishing is all about. Alright, let's unhook this guy. It was barely hooked. Let's set the lure aside. And the pliers too. I'll show it to you one last time. What a massive fish. Just beautiful. Look at that head. Wonderful. Off it goes. A little kiss.
I hope you enjoyed the video and learned everything you needed to know about these lures. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I also encourage you to subscribe to our channel and follow us on other social media to stay up to date with our content, because we're posting a lot of videos about these and many other lures. So I won't keep you any longer. Thanks again for watching. And I invite you to check out the next videos on the channel. Bye.